Hi, I'm Sandy Britton. Welcome to Hometown Talk. Today we're featuring Know Your Businesses. We'll be interviewing local business owners in the town of Plaistow. I'd like to introduce Barbara Boris from Cherub's Choice, Kim LeBlanc from the Flag Connection in Plaistow, Paul Sickle from Westville Supply. Well, Paul, I think Westville Supply is almost an institution in Plaistow. You want to tell us how long it's been there and a little bit about the business?
Yeah, we started back in 1964, so we've been there. Next year will be 30 years. We are the local hardware store in town. We try to help the general customers and the public, and we've started a rental store next door to it 4 years ago. It's kind of an expansion, and that's basically what we do.
That's basically what you're doing. Great. Kim? Flag Connection?
Mm-hmm.
You sell flags, I guess.
Yes, we do. Primarily flags and banners, but we also have a variety of antiques, dried flower arrangements, large selection of Yankee candles. It's quite a unique shop. It has a little bit of everything.
And where are you located?
5 Plaistow Road in the Shaw's Plaza.
The new Shaw's Plaza. Okay. And Barbara?
Cherub's Choice. We've opened in 1985, and this is our 9th holiday season. Basically, we are a specialty gift and toy store. We have about 3,000 different items in the store, 250 different vendors, and specialty gifts, meaning things that aren't found in basically the mass market, something a little different, toys as well.
Speaking of locations, you've moved.
We have moved. Actually, we were in Kim's location. We are now at Great Elm Plaza, which is directly across the street from Market Basket and Bradley's.
Right.
Dead center in the mall. So.
Okay. Reason for the move?
Basically, it was a new location. Actually, couldn't make a lease agreement with the current landlord. And it was a clean new location, so.
New store?
New store.
Feels good,
yeah,
huh?
and full at the time. At that time, the plaza was emptying out, and there was a question of whether Shaw's would even go in at that location. So.
Okay. Paul, you're right after the infamous 125 bridge.
Right.
You've seen a lot of construction there.
Yes.
They've taken away a lot of your parking.
Right.
Where are you putting customers? Parking?
Well, we lost some parking in the front, so we tried to add it in the back.
Okay.
They've put a town road in behind us, and so we've tried to accommodate people. We anticipated the move, so we put a door on the back. So
okay.
We get a lot of people that now more or less come from the back of the store as well as the front. It's easier for the some of the older folk, contractors with larger trucks or things like that, to come around the back because they have a light to pull out of.
So there's easy access.
There's easy access both ways. Right.
Now 125 is just recently being developed past the bridge.
Right.
Have you seen that increase, that influx of people?
Yeah, with the Plaza 160 changing to Plaistow Commons, and it seems like since Walmart and some of the other larger stores came to town, it's expanded growth up and down the strip, and it seems to be good.
Oh, good. Okay. He's opened the door. We're talking competition, larger stores. You're basically specialty stores, correct?
Correct.
Is that the way we have to go? Is it just going to be the large chains, the superstores, and then our specialty stores? Barbara?
I mean, basically, there are products out on the market that can't supply the mass market. They're small manufacturers. They do things probably with a little bit more care, sometimes more detail, and they're, for the most part, small businesses like all of us are. So they couldn't produce enough to supply the mass market. When they get to the point where they can start selling to the mass market, then they're usually not anyone that we can buy from anymore, because there are special, you know, a Walmart's, for example, with all the stores that they have, need a lot of product. So they buy a lot, and therefore are usually, when someone can produce to sell to a Walmart, they're usually given better terms than I can buy. Lego, for example, is an item that I can buy cheaper from Bradley's, then I can buy direct as a toy item. There are other toy manufacturers like Playmobil or TC Timber or Brio or Madame Alexander Dolls that don't have the capacity to even service one of Walmart's stores, let alone stock all of their stores.
Now, Kim, you're in a different predicament where you're dealing with antiques. What are you using for vendors?
Vendors as far as the antiques? A small portion of our shop has a few consignment pieces that people have approached us and asked to put in, but predominantly my husband and I have collected for quite a few years, so we basically put in what we had, and as we go along there's several different avenues to take to pick up the pieces.
Okay, good. Paul, you're affiliated with Service Star, correct?
Right.
What does that mean to your business?
Well, Service Star is a co-op. It's a buying group, so it takes 4,000 hardware stores like myself and pools our buying power so that we can buy like some of the larger stores. It's just a co-op. So it gives you the buying power, but it gives you the flexibility to make the individual choices that you want as a small retailer.
Okay.
And kind of you can custom your store as to what you want to sell. So.
Now that also aids you in advertising, is that correct?
Right.
I know I've
yeah.
received flyers.
Right, they produce flyers, they negotiate the items that would be put in there, you get special buys on that for certain periods of time, and then you can distribute them, at a cheaper rate and take advantage of, the buying power of all the stores together. And you pay a royalty, and they use that to generate funds for advertising and promoting your business. And at the end of the year, if there's a profit as a co-op, then you get a dividend. So it's working, like everybody works together.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, is it regional, where you're
No,
granted a territory?
No, I mean, as far as you're protected, is that what you mean? Yeah. Basically, you have a territory. We joined Service Star, so they wouldn't put a store, in our advertising area or our business area. So I wouldn't see another Service Star store probably in Atkinson or, Plaistow or, in that general area.
I think that's a very creative way for a small businessman to be able to compete with your larger chain stores, as you're saying.
We were independent for 25 years, so we weren't affiliated with any co-ops.
Okay.
And I recently came into the business I came in 5 years ago into the business, and I felt the need that we should join a co-op. I chose Service Star among the other ones because they also had a rental program, because we wanted to start a rental store also. We felt there was a need in Plaistow. So that's a division of Service Star.
Oh, okay.
The Grand Rental is.
All right.
So.
Barbara, now I know you also sent out flyers this week for the recently for the holidays.
Yeah.
Is that something you do once a year, or is that a quarterly?
Yeah. Advertising, I don't know about anybody else here, but advertising in this area is really difficult for small business. My parents live in a town where there's one newspaper, a few radio stations, but depending on the market you're targeting, there's a radio station that probably has the correct demographics. There's several television stations, but again, there's only 3, the major ones that everyone in the area watches. Being this close to a metropolitan area, you don't know whether someone's buying the Haverhill Gazette, the Lawrence Eagle Tribune, Boston Globe on a regular basis. So any of the sort of major types of advertising that people normally do in a small town are really difficult in this area. Hence, we have gone to most of our advertising through direct mail, building up a mailing list and mailing to customers throughout the year periodically. The catalog is partially a direct mail in that we make sure that everyone that's on our mailing list does get one, and then partially a bulk mailing that is done to by carrier route and zip code to areas that we feel our customers should be coming from, and maybe everyone on that street or block or town doesn't know that we exist, so that's why we've done the direct mail. It's a little bit more expensive to do it that way, but advertising in 5 or 6 different newspapers on a regular basis is expensive too, so it's almost a no-win situation. You need to spend the money in order to attract customers, so direct mail is one thing that we found works very well for our store.
Okay. Kim, and what have you found effective in the line of advertising?
Basically the newspapers.
You're using the newspapers.
Right. We do have a mailing list. Since the store is only a year old, it's taken us a while to build the mailing list. We have done one mailing that was very successful, mostly to customers that had already been in the store. As a reminder, new products, we've changed seasons, and it drew quite a few people. For the most part, I try to do as little advertising as possible, but it is a necessity.
It is an expensive necessity.
Yes, it is. The small town papers seem to work the best.
Okay. I know the town of Plaistow has regulations on signage, etc. Is that a problem?
I think it's reasonable. We're on 125. We're not in a residential area. We haven't had I guess we've been lucky. Any sign that we've put out has been approved by the town.
Okay.
I know other people probably have had different experiences, so it's hard to say, but we haven't had a problem with that.
I know you've just had a new sign installed at Shaw's Plaza, and I noticed that they've got little lettering. It's real tough. Unless you're stopped at that light, you're not going to read who's in that plaza.
No.
And that has to be a difficulty, I'm sure.
It was somewhat of a disappointment, to be perfectly honest with you.
But it's something that's out of your control, too, I'm sure, with the plaza. And Paul, your sign's been there probably 30 years.
Grandfathered.
Should all businesses be restricted to 125?
Well, retail needs to feed off of one another. I mean, it's difficult to have a retail business where there aren't any other retail businesses to draw from. If someone goes into the store next door to you, you hope that, well, maybe one day they'll just walk by and say, well, I'll just pop in here and see what you have. So for retail, I think it's important to have it feed off one another. So I think wherever stores are, you're going to get more stores to be there because that's where you want to be. Other businesses, may have a different attitude, but I think it's important for retail.
You agree? It's a necessity for you people to be on 125, huh?
Yeah, it's a help. There is a section of town, the Commercial 2 District, which is predominantly Main Street, Plaistow, which was the former business district of the town 20, 30 years ago, that there's still some property there that could be used for professional buildings, things like that, or some type of small retail. It'd be good to keep everything on 125, but there are properties there that have been traditionally part of the retail space, and that probably should be allowed to continue.
Well, I think convenience stores, for example, I mean, just the name, you want it to be convenient. Sometimes 125 is not convenient. Correct. So I think it depends on the business, but from a retail point of view, I think I'd want to be where other retail people are.
Okay. Kim, do you feel that by New Hampshire not having a sales tax is a great benefit to you, or is that irrelevant in your business?
Absolutely. It's definitely, we're so close to the Mass line, I believe that has a lot to do with it. It's a big draw.
It's a big draw, so you would oppose a sales tax in New Hampshire?
Absolutely.
Paul?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very big benefit to everybody in Plaistow. I put out a flyer in Plaistow, and I know that I have a store in Haverhill that, another Service Star store that's putting out the same flyer, and I know I draw off of that. I don't even advertise in Haverhill because they're going to get the same flyer down there, and they'll come up to Plaistow because they're going to save 5% right off the top, and it helps. And if someone's going to make a large purchase, they're going to come up to Plaistow. So it's helpful.
And it's so close. I mean, if you were 20 miles inside the borderline, but being this close, and the population base on the Massachusetts side is much greater than the population base on this side. So being one reason for locating in Plaistow is you want a certain number of people to be able to get to your store, and the greater number of people happen to be just south of the border. Therefore, just having that tax benefit is enough to draw them a few miles over and give them an opportunity to shop in all the businesses on this side of the border. You know, one of the reasons why we picked Plaistow was that number one, the paperwork on just shifting over the border to do business in paperwork alone in Massachusetts, let alone the sales tax, but less paperwork in New Hampshire to open a business, plus the sales tax is really a benefit for anyone doing retail.
Good. Paul, you opened the door with stating that the new 160 Plaza, which is now the Commons,
Right.
has just opened, which means new construction, new business. The economy's turning around, at least I hope so. Are you seeing it? And I would think that in the hardware business, the building trades, you would see it first.
There's still a lot of people that are hurting right now. People it's better now than it was a year ago, I would say. And things are starting to turn around. I mean, certainly with the interest rates, that's helped construction, you know, quite a bit. And the banks seem to start to be loosening up a little bit. I wouldn't say completely, but you know, it seemed like things are getting better now. And like I said before, you know, once you got an anchor in a couple of the larger plazas, it just trickles down throughout the rest of the strip, and it's helped, you know, fill up the 125, which is helping all the other businesses.
Kim, are you seeing an increase in business?
Absolutely. I think, to be perfectly honest, people are tired of not spending. And in a business such as ours, it's definitely a luxury item. You know, the fancy flags, it's not something that's a necessity. And I'm finding a definite increase in business over last year.
Barbara?
I still think New England has a long way to go. Less than 2 weeks ago, I think Raytheon announced another 1,000 at least layoffs. So we have seen growth every year since we're in business. If you don't see growth every year when you're in business, you probably don't stay in business very long.
And you've got a 9-year track record. So you're spending so many hours at what you do. It's not, you know, you open at 10 and you close at 6 o'clock. The prep work before afterwards, we were joking about not sleeping at night this time of year. I mean, I got up I think it was 3 days ago, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, forgot I hadn't sent a fax in, and went downstairs and faxed in. So, I mean, you do need to see some growth every year to make all of it worthwhile. And you may not be seeing the growth you did in the late 80s. As a matter of fact, it would be real hard to do that. But it's, you know, hopefully this is final exam time. Fourth quarter, you know, all year long you're working on quiz time. You know, do you get it right or do you get it wrong? But they're little minor quizzes. This is final exam time, so it's a little more crunch time. Busiest time of the year for you people? Though, I don't know, Paul. Only females are shopping in the hardware store for their husbands for Christmas.
No, this isn't my busiest time of year. My busiest period is from early April through June, and then again from September to right about now, things will start slowing down. We'll have some business for Christmas, but it's not, you know, people aren't rushing out to the hardware store to buy that. You know,
my husband loves it when I go to the hardware store for Christmas.
Yeah, we're going through our slow period right now.
This is your slow period, and I'm assuming it's just the opposite for you ladies.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it, how the fun begins. Huh?
Yes.
You're all small business owners. Time. I bet you none of you put in a 40-hour week.
There's a joke that all small business people know. Small business people only work half days, 12-hour day minimum. And that's true.
Yeah. 7 days a week sometimes, too.
Definitely 7 days a week. And we go from Labor Day weekend through to Christmas Eve with 1 day off. And that is Thanksgiving Day. That's our big day off in 4 months. So
you really enjoy the holidays. Seasonal items. We're coming up to Christmas, so I'm assuming you must have a Christmas specialty item that you're featuring?
Yes, the fancy flags. Now is the time for the Christmas flags and windsocks, decorative.
No Christmas candles?
Oh, absolutely.
Paul, we know you're not going to give us anything special for Christmas.
No, nothing special.
A good red chainsaw, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's it.
Barbara?
Well, when we first opened, we started right off with Christmas decorations, and that was a major part of our business and continues to be part of our businesses. There has developed a new Christmas tradition other than Christmas trees, however, and that is lit houses.
Yes.
Department 56 has both the Heritage Village collection and the Snow Village collection, which we have had more people come in and tell us they have more fun setting up their village now than they do putting up their Christmas tree. So that's a very popular item for us this time of year. Buyer's Choice carolers also very seasonal, although they have come out with some pieces that can be used year-round. The caroler tradition has also developed. Snow babies, ornaments, baby's first Christmas, wedding, all sorts of different nativity sets is a very major part of our business.
Very good. Paul, customer relations.
Yeah.
It's important to get the customer in the door, and it's important to keep them coming back through the door.
Yeah.
Is there a trick to it?
Well, when I have a new employee, I try and tell them that what I have in my store you can get anyways. You know, what I want them to do is I want them to greet them at the door, and if they want them to hold their hand all the way to the back of the store and spend 10 minutes with them, that's what you have to do, that's what you do. Customer service is everything in a small business. You know, you point and say, oh, things are down back, and you know, you don't pay any attention to people, or you don't help them, or you don't have a knowledgeable staff, then you're not going to be in business very long. So it's real important to, you know, keep a good customer image up. You can't please everybody. You know, you try your best, and you try and be pleasant, and that seems to be a success for us.
Kim?
Basically, treat the customer like you would like to be treated yourself. You know, we be as helpful as we can and always smile. That's the main thing.
Do you have anything to add, Barbara?
Well, I think that most of the products that we have in our store are not advertised on TV. People don't have an idea of what a collection could be, what new products are in if they have a collection, what toy, explain the toy to them, as opposed to, in a lot of cases we do have things out of the box for the children to play with, so they have a sense of what that is. But it does take a lot of explanation. Sometimes we feel that people come in and we say, hi, can we help you? And they're almost insulted by the fact that we would ask them, but we also know that they may not understand what is in this box, how it works, or what age group it's appropriate for, or what the new items are in the collection that they're collecting. So we think it's necessary to try, whenever possible, or whenever allowed to sometimes, to explain the product that they're looking for, or give them suggestions of different things, and possibly even different price points of items that they might be looking for. So that is an important aspect of what we do. Again, you know, I heard a restaurant owner once describing how he loved being a chef, and he said that the cooking and the chef part is one thing that he really enjoyed, and he said the customer service, he sometimes found it a learning experience, and he finally had to come to the conclusion that the customer is always right until they're wrong. And I've always loved that quote, because, you know, 2 days before Christmas, when someone comes in and says, what do you mean you can't air freight that from Germany and have it here by tomorrow? I mean, it's, you know, it's just beyond your capability at that point to service them. But anyway, for the most part, I think that anyone in a small business is trying their very hardest to please and to give the customer an option, but in some cases that option is just not available to the store owner to do.
Okay. Needless to say, being business owners, there's always a downside to business. You have to deal with shoplifters, bad checks. Is there anything special that you do in regards to this, Kim?
Bad checks? Mm-hmm. We belong to check recovery.
Which is what?
Which is a service that is no charge to the merchant. If the check is no good, it does not even come back to us. It simply goes to the bank, to check recovery, then they search it from there. If it takes over 90 days and goes to probate, then it becomes a different issue. But fortunately enough, we've been very, very lucky with our checks, and we haven't had too many bad experiences.
That's good, because you hate to see things like that happen, and you know it does happen. Where do you foresee your business going?
Up. We'd like to get into, as well as the fancy flags and banners, to become a truly unique gift store with unique items. I think that's what you have to do to stay in business. You can't have, like we mentioned before, what Bradley's or Walmart's or so-and-so has. You have to have something that they can only come to you to get.
Okay. Paul, any more additions in the future here? For a while there?
No. I think we're just going to try and continue serving the public in the hardware end, and we have expanded every year in our rental store, and I foresee that expanding. That's a young business, it's only 4 years old, and we still have a lot more area to grow in that area.
Very good. Barbara?
Well, it's unfortunate Walmart couldn't have been here this evening, but you know, I think every business at some point thinks they should grow and grow in bigger and open another store. We've debated it, but as one person told us, if you have one store, it's one headache. If you have two stores, it's two headaches. So we haven't been gotten to the point, at least right now, that we're willing to commit to growing to a second store or multiple stores yet.
Great. Well, I really want to thank you people for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very
I
much.
really wish you well in your businesses.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And hope the holidays are real fun, real busy. Enjoy your one day off.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you once again.
Thank you.
Sandy Britton from Hometown Talk.